Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. I'm an OCD recovery coach with more than 10 years of experience helping people recover from OCD. Prior to that, I had severe OCD myself that I fully recovered from, and as do my clients. So if you wonder, can you fully recover from OCD? Absolutely, yes, you can. Before we start, I just wanted to remind you that OCD Help App is available at the Apple App Store. Again, it comes down to just tracking the time, seeing progress. And this is what this app is about. Yes, it has a test of is this an OCD thought? Yes, it has everything else. But the main thing is it helps you track the time, is it helps you see progress in terms of the month, in terms of the year, so you can see, hey, I'm doing good. I'm recovering, or I'm not doing good. What do I need to fix? Where am I ruminating? Where am I doing compulsions? And that takes you back to the time screen. Let's take a look at how I was tracking the time. Let's take a look at what period of time, because the way it's tracking is it's tracking it in columns. So you can see my mornings are not looking too well. So what can I change about the mornings? Or afternoons are not looking too well. So you start to see these patterns and they shift you towards recovery. And then again, you go back to the screen where it shows you your progress and you could see, is what you're doing working or not? You can use this on your own. If you're doing recovery on your own, you can use this in addition to working with a doctor or a therapist, because you could see, is what they're doing helping me recover or not? So you can start, or even with things like medication, is the medication helping me? Because you can start to see those patterns in terms of how you're feeling and in terms of your rumination. So I hope you check it out. To get the app, I will leave you a description link below, and you can download it from there. So today I wanted to talk to you about, is this avoidance? How to tell? A lot of the times, I probably get this question a few times a day, that the person feels guilty for not doing a compulsion, and they feel if they're not listening to an OCD thought, it feels like avoidance. Literally a few times a day, at least once a day, but a few times a day, most of the time, I get this question. So, how can you tell if this is avoidance? Avoidance is something that you're choosing not to do that you normally would do. Avoidance, for example, goes like this. You were, say, you were watching TV, and OCD tells you, oh, this scary show might come on that might trigger your OCD. You better turn it off. Or somebody invites you to go somewhere and you're like, oh, if I go there, I might get triggered. So it's basically, avoidance happens when you're afraid to get triggered. There's some variations, but basically that's what happens. What is not avoidance? When you are doing something and OCD tells you, oh, but you should do it exactly this way, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. This is not avoidance. You're going about your day as you normally would. OCD is sidetracking you into doing something you would not normally do. So just like you wouldn't do some other abnormal thing, you wouldn't do this abnormal thing. You're going about your day, and OCD is just trying to pull you in. Another thing would be OCD telling you, you have to ruminate, you have to figure this out. If you don't figure it out, you're avoiding this topic. That's OCD. You're not avoiding anything. Well, technically, you're avoiding an irrelevant conversation with yourself. So just like you're not figuring out, is there life on Mars, because it has no relation to you in any way, you don't need to figure out OCD thoughts because it has no relation to you in any way. As I always say, it's like your next door neighbor went out on the balcony and started to scream obscenities. Do you need to figure out what he's saying? No, because it has nothing to do with you. Are you avoiding him if you're not figuring out what he's saying? Also, no. You're just not listening because it's not important. You're focusing on what's important to you. And this is your classic OCD thoughts that you're always experiencing. Why would all of a sudden you start paying a lot of attention to it and drive OCD further? No, you're not going to do that. So, in a technical sense, yes, you're avoiding ruminating, but you should be avoiding ruminating. That's what you really do need to do in order to recover. So, avoiding rumination, avoiding compulsions is the right thing to do. Now, another situation. Sometimes OCD will puts you in a position where both things are compulsion. So say if you're like, this is just a simple example, but if you're walking, and OCD will tell you, well, if you're gonna step forward, this is something, and if you're gonna step backward, then this is something, and you're like, what am I gonna do? And if you stand still, and this is something, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it won't give you an out. So if both situations, both options that OCD gives you are compulsions or avoidances or whatever, an OCD action, let's say, in any way, you continue to do what you were already going to do. So you were walking, OCD told you, oh, if you take a next step, something bad's going to happen. But you were already walking. You were going to take the next step. So you take the next step, right? Do you know what I mean? So you're continuously going throughout the day as you would whether the next door neighbor came out on the balcony or didn't. Doesn't matter if he did, we're just continuing to go with the day. Continuing to metaphorically walk forward regardless of what's happening. And when OCD tells you, well, you're avoiding because you should be thinking about this. You should be really ruminating and figuring it out. Otherwise, you're a bad person and you're avoiding. You choose to disregard because it's, again, the neighbor saying this from the balcony. And we're disregarding. And if you do this, I promise you, step by step, you will recover. Just keep following this every single day. I hope you find my videos helpful. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back tomorrow with another video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. The app is available at the App Store. And if you would like one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information, as always, is on youhaveocd.com. I'll see you tomorrow.